Monica Madinaveitia. I guess you don't know me at all, but I'm also part of the OSCE staff. And I'm here today because you are working on the I and the other. Yeah, like that's, I think, what you're working mostly. So the aim for today was to talk to you about especially the Basque diaspora. Yeah? I have a PowerPoint with some information and some videos, but as you can see, I'm having technical problems. I cannot remember my password. Usually I access it like automatically, so hopefully that is bringing my computer and that will work out. Okay, if not, well, I'll just tell you about it, and there will be, I will have to look for the online images. So the aim of today's session would be to talk about the Basque diaspora, but as I talk about the Basque diaspora, we'll be focusing on Basques as immigrants, okay? But I want you to always think of the immigrants that come to the Basque country, because everything I say is not exclusive only to the Basque immigrant community, okay? And although you will see that we're going back in time, patterns, okay, migratory patterns are very similar, and feelings, events are very similar everywhere, anytime, okay? So bear that in mind, take into account all those people that are coming to us, okay? Yeah? We were once immigrants. We are still, there's a lot of emigration out of the Basque country too. Some of you may have to even go somewhere else to do job opportunities, yeah? But we've become like the host country for many people that were not born in the Basque country, okay? So bear that in mind in everything I say, because the idea is to know about our own history so as to understand our own present time, okay? Yeah? Let me just work my, yeah, okay, it's still working. So, what do you know about diaspora? Do you know, I had a definition of diaspora in my presentation. What do you know about the word diaspora? Does anyone know anything? Or would you dare define it?
How is it read?
You don't know how it's written? You don't know how it's written?
You can check over there. I can see.
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's the same word in Basque and in Spanish, because the pronunciation is different. No? Is this the first time ever that you hear the word diaspora? Diaspora. Euskal diaspora. Yeah? Is it the very first time? Have you not heard anything about the Jaialdi in Boise? Yes. Idaho. That's part of the Basque diaspora, so you have heard a few things, yeah? About Basques being shepherds in the American West. So you have heard a few things, yeah? Okay, that's good. Whenever the PowerPoint comes out, you will see that diaspora, okay, means to be scattered, yeah, in another country that is new to you, okay, yeah? So people that are, for example, that leave their homeland and go somewhere else to another country, yeah, they can become parts of the diaspora, okay, of that community. However, there is a difference between migrant or immigrant and diaspora, yeah? You have to fulfill some conditions for a community to become a diaspora, yeah? For example, you have to be in a place for quite a long time, okay? There's got to be a community there. One single person cannot make a diaspora, okay? There's got to be a community. There's got to be a sense of attachment to your homeland, yeah? Some people may go someplace and say, I don't want anything to do with my homeland, yeah? So that would not be part of the diaspora, okay? You have some sort of emotional attachment, yeah? you even somehow create like a myth of the homeland. Yeah, like you think that everything, for example, that everything in your homeland is much better. Your food, you miss your food, the community there, relationships, and all that. Okay, and you have the desire to return to your homeland. Maybe you never go back for whichever reasons. Yeah, it could be because you don't have the money, because you have no legal documentation and you cannot go back. Yeah, but you have the desire to go back home. So that would be the difference between a migrant and a diaspora community. Okay, yeah. So when the PowerPoint comes out, we can skip a few of the slides, but you will see that that is what I wrote. And then I'm going to be talking about the first Basque immigrants, yeah, who initially were immigrants, but then they became part, or they became elements of the Basque diaspora outside the Basque country. Okay. So I don't know whether you've heard about whale hunters. Have you heard about whale hunters? Yes? Okay, so so this is what I've been telling you about. We have been, Basque people have been emigrating out of the Basque country since the late Middle Ages. Okay, so we go back in time, yeah, late Middle Ages. And the first emigrants, yeah, and I use quotation marks there, the first emigrants are considered to be, for example, the Basque whalers, yeah. You know, Ternois and all that, they spent some time there. They left traces of the Basque community there. There was even like a pidgin language there, like a mixture of Basque with their own languages there, okay? So this is a little video. We're not going to watch all the videos, yeah? I hope that... Is the volume working?
Un barco para cazar ballenas en Islandia.
Tenemos que tener en cuenta que los productos de la ballena eran importantísimos dentro de la economía vasca, que eran un poco la columna vertebral de la riqueza vasca. Pero únicamente no sabían cómo iban a llegar allá y sobre todo cómo podían sobrevivir allá.
Los islandeses no eran cazadores de ballenas, sino sobre todo ganaderos.
Veían la presencia de pescadores vascos como una amenaza porque les iban a quitar los alimentos que eran básicos para ellos.
In the past, they had been attacked by pirates and corsairs. Foreigners were not well regarded by many Icelanders.
La noche del 19 de septiembre, justo la noche anterior a la salida de Islandia hacia San Sebastián, con toda la carga hecha, ocurre un desastre. Hay una gran tormenta, se mueven témpanos de hielo que van en contra de los barcos y quedan prácticamente destrozados entre los hielos.
Saben que no van a poder volver a Guipúzcoa ese invierno, que están actuando en contra de la ley y que probablemente van a morir.
Okay, this is Basque given, And I brought a book that you can pass around that talks about this incident, yeah? You see Basque whalers going to Iceland, yeah? To hand whales, okay? The thing is that the Icelanders saw them as a threat, yeah? What happens with the other? With that community or that person that is not you or that is not included in your own group? Yeah? It would be the in-group and the out-group. Yeah? What happens that we often see them as a threat. Yeah? So Basques were at that time seen as a threat. And because there was a disaster, there was with the weather and all that, yeah? The Basques had to stay longer, and because they were seen as a menace, many of them, most of them were killed. They were slayed. Yeah? In fact, up to a few years ago, there was a law in Iceland that said that Basques could still be killed. Yeah? And that, yeah, that law was passed that time. Yeah? When Basques used to go there whaling. Okay? But they had not changed that law until very recently. Some people, researchers found out that that law was still active. Yeah? Of course, Icelanders were not killing Basques anymore, but there was a law that said that it was, I'm simplifying it, but that it was okay to kill Basque people. Yeah? So this event has become, it was on the news a few years ago, not that very long ago. Yeah? So it's now safe to go to Iceland. Yeah? Okay, then there's, we're not going to show this, but there's a film, Elkarrekin Together, and a project too, okay, that talks about Basque whalers. And this would be, again, the event that I was talking about, the Basque Giving thing, okay? Yeah? So, you can check it online, yeah? Basque Giving. Okay, main causes for emigration. I have summarized some of the main causes, okay, for Basque people to emigrate. And I've lumped different stages together, okay? So one of them was to colonize America. To me, unfortunately, okay, I see that not as something to be proud of, but many Basques were involved in the colonization of America, yeah? The vessels were either created in the coast of Biscaya, or many of the vessels were manned, yeah, by Basque people, yeah, and we know the outcome, okay? Military commerce, which is connected to this idea of colonization, so there were loads of Basque explorers, navigators, yeah? Clergymen that would go to especially all these other countries, and we can still see that in Latin America. They would go there and preach and say that what they had was much better, okay? And we know the outcome too, yeah? Many natives were killed, and well, the family destroyed, the culture and all that. Then the French Revolution, because we have to also take into account Iparralde, okay? The Carlista Dark, the Civil War in Spain, the aftermath, okay, with Franco's dictatorship, and also at another stage, Spain gave options to emigrate, yeah? The Basque Country was at one point very poor, okay? So going abroad, going to other countries was seen as an opportunity to make money, to have a better life, okay? And then the primogeniture right. Do you know about that? Mayorazgoa. Are you familiar with that? Yes. At one point that has changed, at least in most families, but till quite recently in the Basque families, and it would be loads of children. There was no Netflix or such things back then, so parents had loads of children, yeah? Maybe 12 children, 10, that was very, very common, yeah? But only usually the first one to be born got everything, okay? That meant that if you are 10 children, the first one, usually, especially the man was given more priority, but it could be a woman too, yeah? That person got everything. That meant that the rest got nothing, so they had to look for other options. One of them was to become a nun, a monk, a priest, and another one, yeah, which was very common too, was to go somewhere else, to emigrate, okay? And then in the countryside, okay, as I was saying, there were lots of children, so there was the demographic rate was very high, okay, and no food or not many good opportunities, job opportunities for people there. You can stop me anytime, okay, if you have something to tell, maybe you have heard about such stories in your own family, okay, so stop anytime. So I'm going to divide Basque emigration, especially in two main stages. One of them would be before 1898, okay, and after that, yeah? That would be like when for example, the Spanish Revolution, when many countries in Latin America became independent from Spain, okay? So that would be like the middle point there. So before, okay, I know on your way, but people worked especially in construction, okay, also making weapons, yeah, shipyard, yeah, making ships, and also iron, okay. So the Basque Country before 1898, when they emigrated, they did not emigrate as, you know, poor people looking for a space. They emigrated as people that had power, okay? That's why, for example, if you go to Mexico, there is a state with the name of Durango, yeah? And it's because Basques there exercised the power to have that name settled there. And if you check the history, there's loads of people, there's loads of politicians, yeah, in the history, especially in Latin America, but also in North America, that have a Basque heritage, yeah. I brought some other books that somehow talk about that. Excuse me. So Basques in the Philippines, yeah, there are still a few Basques in the Philippines, like I think the Elizondo family is still in the Philippines, yeah, but we went there too. Andres de Urdaneta, is anyone from Morticia or around? No, are you familiar with Andres de Urdaneta? No, he was a clergyman, an explorer, a navigator too, okay? So, San Juan Bautista the Anza, yeah? Juan de Oñati, from Oñati. Okay, so we have loads of examples. In fact, this is another book, California Coag, by Asun Garicano. Asun Garicano is Bernardo Achaga's wife, and they spent a year in Reno, in Nevada, yeah? With their children, and Asun realized that their children had to do some homework at home, and they had to maybe do research about specific people, yeah? And she realized that many of the people that her children had to do research on had Basque surnames, yeah? So she did some research and found out that in the history of California, there's also loads of people, loads of explorers, navigators of Basque heritage. Okay, so I'm just showing you the books around so that they ring a bell if you go to the library and see them there. Yeah? Okay, and then after 1898, there was a huge migration flux in Europe, and the Basque Country was part of it. Okay, and the main reason was no money and politics, like civil wars and all that. Okay. So we became immigrants that went to other countries to look for jobs, to look for better opportunities, as refugees and so on. Yeah? The first destinations were especially Mexico, Venezuela and Peru. Okay? You see that first they tried the countries where Spanish was spoken. Okay? Then Argentina and Uruguay, and eventually the US and Australia. Yeah? Later on, I'm going to be focusing especially on the US and especially the American West. Okay? So, some of the consequences, and remember I told you to, as I'm talking, to think of all the people that are coming to Basque Country nowadays. Okay? okay? You leave your country, yeah, and that causes consequences in your homeland too, in your family, in your community, yeah? Throughout Basque history, one of the consequences of Basque emigration was that there were no young boys. It means that there were no young boys to get married to have children with, okay? So nearly in Iparralde at one point, nearly one whole generation disappeared because of that, yeah? That meant that there was no, that there was no physical strength for labor. So women had to attend to everything. They had to change their roles. They were the mothers, the wives of someone who was maybe abroad. They had to work out in the vegetable garden, in the woods, in the mountains. Okay, so roles changed too. Yeah, and that of course affected families, the family system too. Okay, so it would be mainly women with no men, yeah, especially if they were very young. Yeah, what we see nowadays is, for example, a lot of people from Africa, especially men, yeah, selling CDs, and usually they are very qualified. They speak different languages, and if physically they're very strong, yeah, but they're not working in things they could work at in the Basque country, which means that back at home, that absence of labor is also felt. Yeah? Their family cannot do as well because their healthiest or their youngest or boy had to emigrate. Okay, so it was the same in the Basque country too. Yeah. As for marriages, and I'm going to focus especially in the Basque community, in the Basque American West, okay? In the Basque American West, there was more and more Basques, okay? And one of the jobs they created was Basque hotels, yeah? Usually Basque hotels were to attend the needs of Basque shepherds, yeah? Who would be in the mountains, up in the desert for maybe like months and months and months by themselves, and then they would go to the Basque hotels, and that would be like being at home for them because they could speak Basque there, yeah, and they could eat, things that resembled the Basque country. Okay, Basque hotels also eventually became the place for people for Basque people to meet other Basque people. Yeah? You are alone, you know no one, you don't speak English, or your English is not very good, so what do? You try to connect with people that are as familiar as possible to you. Yeah? So Basque hotels would be like a possibility for that. Yeah? These are the paintings of Frank Goitia, who lives in Boise. His parents were Basque, okay? And he paints this, his parents had a Basque hotel in Boise, Idaho, and he remembers, people going up the stairs on Saturday nights, yeah? And up there, they would pay some little money to go in, and then they danced. There was a jukebox. Do you know what a jukebox is? Yeah? So there was a jukebox there, so people danced to the music of the jukebox, okay? And they flirted with other like men with women, and so on, yeah, okay? So couples, Basque couples, many couples came from that, yeah? This is not so anymore, but at one time it was important for them to get married to someone who they felt familiar with, okay? And we're going to see
Germanic, Semitic, North Scandinavian. He isn't even there yet. From too, because today by heart, like fixture, invents the berry all over again.
I think it was here.
There seems to be no end to the angles, no limit to the variations.
This is around the world with Orson Welles, okay? He was asked to film different countries in the world, and he filmed the Basque country too. Yeah? And he's going to interview someone who has been in Colorado, that's why he speaks Basque.
How many years did you live in America?
And then his wife.
23 years. What part of the United States? Colorado. Montrose, Colorado. You liked it there?
Yes.
You speak very good English. Now you speak Basque and French too? What else?
I used to speak better when I was over there. I'm forgetting now.
You're forgetting. How long have you been here?
15 months.
15 months. You think you'd go back again?
Yeah, I'll believe someday.
Right.
I hope.
Well, there's of course an explanation for your speaking such good American. People don't realize, I think, that the Basques, who are great sheep herders, and you began as a sheep herder, is that right? Are in great demand all over the world, and in many countries there's special quotas for Basques, particularly in America. Now tell us, what do you miss over here that you had over there?
I wasn't missing anything but just in this country, that's all.
And tell me, when you're here, what do you miss from Colorado?
I miss everything I had over there.
Good. When you went to America, you began as a sheep herder, is that right? And most of the people do who come from this country, is that right?
Yes.
The sheep herders. They know a lot about it here.
That's about all they do.
Yes.
The first few years
And
someone is changing their job. First few years they had sheep.
you, what did you do?
I had sheep all the time.
And then afterwards?
Afterwards I run some of my own.
You run some of your own. But you stayed in America and got into other lines of work, didn't you? Didn't you tell me you were a truck driver?
Well, I had the truck. That's my own too.
Oh, your own truck. Yes. So you used to get into town a good deal. So doing something for television like this isn't new to you. You've seen television.
Oh yeah, I saw
What did you see in television?
Oh, I saw a lot of different things.
What did you like?
Oh, I like stock first.
Yeah.
Then I don't care much about rest.
No, I can understand that. And why did you come back here?
I came back to see my folks. I like it so much.
Yeah.
My hometown.
What? Why did you come back?
See my folks. And then I liked my hometown so much, so I started here. I stay here about a year now. No, 15 months here.
Are you glad you came back?
Yes.
It's a nice country here too, isn't it? Oh, it's a beautiful country. Now, why have you been staying here this long?
Because I got married.
You got married?
I did.
You did? To a girl here? Well, we'd love to meet her, could we? Is she around here somewhere?
She's here.
Would you ask her to come in?
Don't even know. This is my wife.
I'm very glad to meet you.
Juste que
Enchanté. Vous parlez français? Le basque aussi?
Can you speak Basque?
I wish I could speak Basque. It's very difficult for us to learn. Did you just meet her now when you came back?
No, I knew her before.
You knew her before?
Yes, I did.
You mean all those years before you came?
But I was here 2 years ago, so I knew her.
Maybe that's why you came back, did it?
Yes, I did. Part of it, that's part of it. Part of
Are
it.
you going to bring her to America if you go back again?
Someday.
Yeah. Ask her if she'd like to come to America. What?
He said yes.
She says yes.
Okay, so let's highlight a few things. One of them is that he had gone to America and was a shepherd initially, yeah? And Orson Welles says, yeah, you are all shepherds, yeah? The thing is that many Basques went to America and were hired as shepherds, yeah? And then it was a job opportunity because they did not speak English, and to herd sheep you do not need English. It was a very tough job that no one else wanted, okay? What happens with immigrants now in the Basque Country too? They get the jobs that we do not want to do. So it was the same back then too, yeah? So when Basques got to the West, yeah, Basque men, people there automatically thought that they were very good shepherds. And the thing is that many of them had no idea whatsoever about sheep herding, yeah? Those who were good shepherds stayed back in the Basque Country. They had no need to go to America, yeah? So if you check the book, another book by Asun Garikano, Far Westeko Euskal Herria, she tells a lot of really good stories about the Far West, okay? Some nice stories with a happy ending, but also very tragic stories of shepherds going crazy because they had no one to talk to for months and months, yeah? And they were up
in the mountains, in snow, very, very, very cold, like maybe 15 degrees below zero. Okay, so many of them got sick, yeah, etc. So there are many tragic stories, real stories, yeah, okay, that you can find out yourselves, yeah. That book is a good point to get started. And then they talk about marriage, yeah. So he's one of the lucky ones that gets to come back to back home. In this case, Iparralde, yeah. And as many immigrants, yeah, you want to boost and say that you've done Las Americas, yeah, that you've made money, that, yeah. So he says, yeah, I have a track there, and you know, like he's a bit showing off, yeah. And he says that 2 years ago, when he was in one of his visits, he met his current wife. Okay, so another opportunity one would be to go to Basque hotels. Well, there are other opportunities, of course, but mainly to go to Basque hotels or Basque picnics to get to know other Basque people, yeah. Or to go back home, maybe you have someone there to get married and then go back to America, that would be this case. And another very common option was to get married by proxy. Do you know what marriage by proxy means? No? Alor descosconza? No? Matrimonio por poderes? Yeah, you do know that? Okay. So that was a very common possibility too. Yeah? And I'm going to tell you a real story about someone who married by proxy. And I've seen the book around. I don't know whether you are familiar with this or not, but this is Petra, yeah? Well, I'll just have on the books, yeah?
You just read it before?
Yeah.
Oh, you have? Okay, so you know the story by heart? Okay, so it's about Petra Amoroto Egaña, yeah? And she married by proxy, okay? I brought some pictures from the book in my... This is from Bergon, yeah? If you've noticed in the preface, where it says in the beginning, yeah, he wrote this little text, okay? From Bergon is Petra's grandson, okay? And From Bergon is also, well, I'll show you later, the author of 4 novels, and he's about to publish another one, okay? So From Bergon was born in Ely, Nevada, okay? And then moved to San Joaquin in California, and Petra was his Basque grandmother. When I got this book out, many people asked me, is this your grandmother? I said, no, no, no. This is what From Bergon used to call her grandma, okay? Petra, yeah? So, this is Marquina, yeah? In the early 1900s, okay? Yeah? And this is where Petra lived with her family. Petra Amoroto Egaña, yeah? And in my research, what I found is that she got a letter from someone in the American West, yeah? From a Basque that was in Nevada, yeah? That had fallen in love with her. You know, if you've read the story, you know, yeah? So we don't really know why she went to America, because in her case, she was very pretty, she was very smart, we suppose that she had other marrying options in Marquina, okay? And she was very adventurous, so we don't know whether it's because, you know, like she wanted she was looking for some, you know, adventure. She had heard about, you know, the big news of America, yeah, and she fantasized with that, so we don't really know, okay, yeah? We don't really know, especially because there are very few things written about women in general, and very little written about Basque women, yeah? Even in Basque studies. So women are still very invisible, yeah? So as I try to vindicate in this book, this is a little attempt to give visibility to all those many women that worked really hard but have never been heard of. Okay, yeah. So she got the letter, okay, and she married by proxy, as you read in the story, yeah. Her family eventually said, okay, you can go, but only if you are married. You are young and you are a woman, yeah. Men could go by themselves, women, no way. So if you do go, you have to go as a married woman. So that's why, if you check the minutes from the wedding in Marquina, Esteban's father replaced Esteban in the wedding. Okay? Yeah? And you can see here that Petra Moroto, her writing is really good, so she was skilled. Her parents were actually teachers too. Yeah? So she was an educated person. Yeah? So she married by proxy without knowing whom she had married. Yeah? And as many other immigrants at the time, nowadays you still, I don't know whether you've been to America or to any other countries, but immigration is still very tough. You were interviewed, you were questioned, they look at you as if you were a criminal, yeah? You feel like you served all the time, yeah? At that time, to go to the States, yeah? They checked your eyes, your ears, whether they were clean, whether you could hear properly, whether you had fleas or not, yeah? If you were, for example, a little bit deaf, you were pushed back, yeah? Or if there was something wrong with you physically, like if you had no arm, you were sent back home, okay? So they were very strict with that, yeah? And of course the conditions, it was like masses of people. If you check pictures of Ellis Island, you see loads of people after traveling for many, many, many hours, yeah, getting there, and in very, very poor conditions, having to wait, okay, to be tested in a language that they do not understand, okay? That's another thing, yeah? And if you check the minutes there, you can see them a little bit in the book, but Petra Amoroto Eraña becomes Petra Mendive, okay? So Petra Moroto Eraña, as such, vanishes. From then onwards, she's known as Petra Mendive. And that, of course, has fostered the invisibility of women too. Yeah, they have not been able, they were not able to maintain their own surnames, yeah? So you know the story of the brooch, yeah? That it was, they used it as a means to identify each other. You know that the illustrators in the book are Yera Sanchez and Maitane Puebla. This is a drawing by Yera Sanchez. And to illustrate the brooch, yeah, we had to go back in time, yeah, and imagine like a brooch from that time, yeah. So eventually, do you know what that really is? It looks like a brooch there, yeah? But do you know what Yera eventually used after many tests? Can you guess? It was the box, the little box her grandmother uses for her pills. Yeah. It was, that's what the pill box that her grandmother uses looks like, okay? So she said, what do you think? And we said, yeah. After, you know, doing loads of research, saying, no, this is too fancy, this is too modern, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it was difficult to make a decision. So eventually, that was our final option. Yeah? And this is one of the pictures that Petra and Esteban got of themselves when officially in Utah, where they officially got married again, yeah? This is the not the mountain, this is the store and then the hotel, okay? A brick store. And this is parts of her family. Petra got to Nevada in 1909 and 1910 she had her first child. 1911 her second child, and so on until she had 8 children, okay? When this book was, I presented the book in Reno, Nevada with Petra's family, yeah? And we were talking about how grumpy she looks there, yeah? And we assumed that, you know, it was tough to have such a large family, take care of the hotel and all that, yeah? Tough life. And then came the grandchildren, yeah? And these are some of the elements that we have used to somehow represent Petra, yeah? This is coffee maker, a grinder that Cranberry-Bond still has, yeah? And this is how her grandma used to grind her coffee, okay? So sometimes it's elements, okay? Memories, but also elements that connect us to other people, yeah? They could be alive or dead, yeah? But this is like a connection that nowadays Petra's grandchildren have with Petra herself. Or also the idea of the bread and the coffee, yeah? What do you remember from the book about the bread and the coffee? Yeah? Yeah, Frank told me, yeah, we used to have like big chunks of when I interviewed him for the book, we used to have like, you know, a bowl with loads of sugar, milk, coffee, and usually, you know, like coffee is not given to children. Now it would be odd for us too, but back then it was very, very ordinary. And, you know, with homemade bread, blah, blah, blah. And I said, oh yeah, that's sobeznia. And he didn't know the word sobeznia, but that's what he had for breakfast every time he went to his grandma. So again, you know, elements, physical elements, but also memories, and also something that we call a sensorial too, yeah, that can be connected to smells, and when we eat something too, it reminds us of something or of someone, okay? So for him, when he comes to the Basque Country, this cafesne tradition takes him back to his grandmother, yeah? And this would be, remember I told you about the Basque hotels? Yeah? At first, Basque hotels were places where people would lodge in, like, you know, especially shepherds or people that had no homes, and that was an option. Later on, and nowadays, if you travel to Basque America, you would see Basque hotels mainly as restaurants, and they do like Basque American food, yeah? It's Basque in the sense that you have beans, babarunak, but then you have steak, chuleta, but then you have spaghetti, which is not Basque, yeah, and other things that are not Basque. So it's a mixture of Basque and American. That's why it's Basque American, yeah? And then there's also a drink, picon punch. Have you ever heard of it? Not even in Iparralde. Picon punch is a very, very traditional drink in Basque hotels, yeah? And they think that we all drink picon punch because it's so traditional, but it's unknown to us. And it is like some sort of evolution from something that used to be drunk in Iparralde, okay? But it's you know, like for us, it's totally new. So they assume we know it, that we drink it, that we love it. And I don't know how you make it. It has different things, and it's very, very strong. If you drink one, you are knocked out afterwards, yeah? So, but it's worth a try, yeah? That would be part of the experience of going to a Basque hotel. You have to be 21, yeah, to be drinking in the States, yeah, because this has a lot of alcohol, yeah, okay? Calimocho has become very popular there too, yeah? You see t-shirts that say, I'm a Calimocho girl, or I'm a Calimocho boy, and yeah, there's even in Reno, there's even an ice cream, a Calimocho ice cream. I've not tried it, yeah, but it's pretty odd, yeah, to have a Calimocho ice cream in Reno, Nevada. Okay, and this would represent the idea of Frank being Basque, but also from the West, yeah? And this is represented somehow in his first novel, excuse me, sorry, which is Shoshone Mike, yeah? Shoshone Mike mainly tells about how initially Basques were shepherds, yeah? They took the jobs that no one else wanted, so do you think that they were regarded as low class or high class? Do you think that Basques at that time, were they regarded as high class or low class? Very low. And they were insulted and they were called like Black Basco, yeah? Okay, so this is about 3 Basque people being killed by a Shoshone family, by a Native American family, and an Anglo was there too, and how then a posse, like you see in films, yeah? A group of white people followed the Native Americans and they killed the whole family, yeah? Okay, so that happened in 1911. Then his second book would be Wild Game, yeah? This is, there is a Basque character, Jack Irigaray, okay, so again, he follows the tradition of writing about Basques, and leave this out. This is a visit of him to his Basque family, yeah? And Basque Hotel and Petra, okay? I brought these, okay? This is part of the book, yeah? To somehow, again, vindicate the idea of women being invisible, okay? Minorities being invisible too, okay? Just briefly, I can see that people have to take off. Oh, okay. Yeah. So now, after talking a little bit about Petra, yeah, I'm going to show you a few videos of how Basques are represented or have been represented, okay? We watch them first, okay? 2 videos, yeah? Part of the videos, not all of it, and then we can discuss, okay? Some ideas.
It's like he'd throw a beer can to the side of the road.
This is a Disney chapter, and it's about a greyhound. You know a greyhound, a gallo? He had been running, but he was no longer useful, okay? So they just like throw him away in the desert.
She couldn't understand.
Yeah? And just left alone.
Fortunately for Gregor, her first bewilderment at being abandoned in a strange big world was cut short at the sight of an old familiar object. She had always suspected that some important element was missing on the racetrack. Now she knew. This was fun, real exciting. Now the rabbit was keeping her hot, and Greta couldn't find the shortcuts.
Greta was much too tame. Greta,
To the point where she was downright snoopy. It was getting to be the time of day when Greta was used to being in bed.
a friend, and then she saw a small.
Every animal domesticated by man.
Sorry. Okay, something's wrong with the computer. Okay, you got the idea of Greta the greyhound being alone. Yeah, she was of no use any longer to the racers, and she's hungry, frightened because she's not used to that type of life. Yeah, she's always been fed and taken care of. Yeah, so she's up in the desert. Yeah, what do you think she finds, or who do you think she finds? What does she encounter? A shepherd, okay? And what do you think happens next? Okay. Any other guesses? And can you think of any characteristics of the shepherd? A hat? A hat, what, like a cap or a beret or? Beret, yeah. Anything else? A shirt.
But maybe he has come maybe from children.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to advance, okay, what they find. I'm going to give you some clues until the computer behaves itself, yeah? So they find, the greyhound finds not just one shepherd, yeah, but more than one shepherd, yeah? And they have a house there, but what type of house? Those of you that said that you are familiar with the Hayaldi in Boise, maybe you've seen, like, they use them like for decoration now, or like to illustrate parts of this history. Have you ever seen like sheep wagons? Sheep wagons? No? This is like a more sophisticated version of a sheep tent, yeah? That's right. That's right.
Oh.
Yeah. This is a sheep wagon. Yeah. This is where they lived. Yeah. Initially, before this is like the more sophisticated version. They had a tent, just like some fabric. Yeah. And they had a little fireplace with an oven, and that's where they cooked. In a Dutch oven, they cooked bread. Yeah. So in the American West, when they think of Basque bread, it's not, it's unfamiliar to us because it's round and usually quite thick, and it's because shepherds used to make bread there. Okay. Yeah. And the chimney, for the fireplace and all that. And this is where shepherds lived by themselves for many, many, many months without seeing anyone practically. Every 2 weeks, every 2 months, maybe someone would drop by to give them some supplies, some food and all that, but they did not necessarily see each other. Yeah. So for them, yeah, it was a very, very, very tough job. Yeah. As I said, many went crazy, killed themselves. There are loads of sad stories. Yeah. Others did very well. Yeah. And they eventually went from being shepherds to being ranchers who then hired other shepherds. I don't know whether you remember, whether you've seen Brokeback Mountain? Yes? In Brokeback Mountain, the person that hires the 2 boys is, if I'm not wrong, he's Aguirre. So he, has a ranch and he hires, labor, yeah? So many Basques who did well then, hired, especially Peruvians, Mexicans, because it's a tough job. So again, you hire people that are going to do that tough job for very little money, yeah? Okay, let's see if we can recuperate that. This worked really well yesterday at home. It's the usual thing, but it's always like that. And then when you are like in public, then there's always like something happening. Okay, good. Wait for us.
And Greta reveled in the pure pleasure of knowing she could scatter coyotes better.
Oh, come on.
Boy, and finding a creature like herself was soon doused. This fellow was like all the others in this forbidden world. He had no time for anything but his own business. But the sense of survival was stronger now than any delicacy of manners, and she followed him boldly into camp. They'd probably try to run her off, but she knew she wasn't able to travel one step farther.
Chef, ready for the supper?
See how to speak English? Ready for the supper?
Wait, friend. It's a dog for Sakipon. Yes, good. Come to me. Come to the meal. You poor smart dog, come just right for the supper. Looks like you need few suppers anyway. Chef, sorry, you're not. Sorry, you're not yet. Let them go.
This is Walt Disney, yeah?
Fresh sugar. Chefi, sorry, you're not yet. Fresh sugar, chef. Well, my skinny little friend. Yellow Lila. Now we're gonna put you sheepskin shoes, and you're gonna be walking like a new again, 2-3 days. So maybe number 6, maybe number 3. I don't know what size to use, but we're gonna try.
Greta didn't mind a few rude stares. The soft boots shielded her sore paws so she could walk with comfort. But more than that, even the laughter was friendly in this place. And she sensed that the boots made by Domingo, the herder, were expressions of his warm-hearted concern. In the first days, nothing in this woolly, neat place made sense. Greta didn't understand Chip's sudden dash to a small bunch that had drifted away from the others, or his never-ending vigil over these uninteresting creatures. Hirsch came running to chase the men. The sudden appearance. It was the best excuse for a party these Basque sheep men had had all year.
Okay, this guy is Jimmy MAH00045. Yeah? And funny enough, his father was from Escoliata. And funny enough, I don't know whether you can see it from here or not. The house his father came from is just right after yeah? So, his father, Tomas, emigrated, okay, and married to another Basque person, Tomasa. They had a Basque hotel, yes, Tomasa and Tomasa, and they had some children, and one of them was Jimmy MAH00045. Jimmy MAH00045 was second generation, okay, Basque. And he learned to play the accordion, okay, in the Basque hotel, because there would be an influx of different Basque people coming to the hotel who played music. So by listening to them, he learned to play the accordion, yeah? And he became a key star, like an icon, along with Domingo and Sotegui in Boise, Idaho, because he played the music for many weddings, also for many dancing groups in Boise, like the Oinkari Basque dancers, yeah? And he was there, you know, like playing music for all of that. So, Jimmy MAH00045, Domingo and Sotegui, but especially Jimmy MAH00045 is considered like, his music is considered, remember I told you previously, tangible elements, but also food, smell, yeah? That takes you back to your homeland, yeah? And it creates some sort of connection with the community. It's the same with music too, okay? Music has a magic to connect a community itself, yeah? So Jimmy MAH00045, if you go to Boise, he's very, very well known. He passed away a few years ago, yeah? But he's an icon there, okay? We don't have much time to watch the next one, yeah? But this is just for you to see that Basques initially were seen as very low class. They were, you know, like called Black Bascos. But then, because many of them eventually made money, yeah, especially because of that, and because they were very hard-working people, yeah, nowadays they are considered to be as honest people, as nice people, and they are parts of the community, okay? But this is still how many Basques are stereotyped as in the American West. Yeah, if you go there, they will probably think that maybe you are shepherds or you come from a sheep herding family. Okay, that's long gone. Yeah, not even many of the Basques in America are shepherds anymore. Yeah, like many of them are politicians. Yeah, okay, and. Yeah, we'll skip that. Just for you to know, some shepherds that went to the American West and made a fortune, yeah, a huge fortune, are for example, the Altuve brothers from Oñati, okay, Jonah Chaval or Dominique Laxalt. Yeah? And having said that, Dominique Laxalt's story is told in Robert Laxalt's Sweet Promised Land, which is, although it was written in 1957, it is still, if you're going to read a book about the Basque diaspora, this is not a novel. It tells the story of Dominique Laxalt and he's going back to the Basque country, what that meant, okay? This is still like the book, yeah? It's written in Spanish too, Dulce Tierra Prometida, and it's been translated into Basque too. I think it's Artzan Shiberu Tarbat or something like that. But there are copies of the English version in the library, okay? It's not very difficult to read, yeah? And it tells about not just the Basque immigrant story, but about immigrants in general, yeah? And in a very, very humble way, yeah? This is a must, okay? In a very, very humble way, I try to do the same, but of course in a smaller scale with Petra, okay? Trying to give visibility to not just men and families, but also to women, okay? Because very, very little has been written about them, okay? So in this book, you find what it means to be first generation, second generation, the possibility to be not just American, but also Basque, okay? Which means that we should give the possibility to those who are coming to the Basque country to be Basque plus from Senegal plus, okay, in terms of identity, yeah? So I had more things, but what I'll do is I'll give you the copies out, or do you want to have them and, yeah, and you can work with them in some time. Okay, this is someone, if you have them on please. This is Gregory Martin. He's written 2 books. One of them is Mountain City, and this is just the beginning. He tells a joke, okay, about Basques. And I think it's really funny, yeah? So I just made copies of the title and of the first few pages, yeah? Read the joke, yeah? And then this other one is where is yeah, there's 2 books, yeah? Mountain City, okay, yeah, by someone who's of Basque heritage, and then Chorizos, Beans and Other Things, written by Trisha Zubizarreta, who lives in Boise, yeah? And I made copies of some of the poems she wrote, okay, some of the things she wrote, yeah? And one of them is a suitcase full of, and we'll finish the lesson with that, a suitcase full of what? Can you find it in the copies of Trisha Zubizarreta? Chorizos, Beans and Other Things. A suitcase full of what? Can you imagine that? What is? She had a suitcase full of any guesses? She was going from Boise, from America to the Basque country, and she was taking a suitcase full of. Can you imagine? No? Okay, read this story very quickly. Yes? Did you get it? $68. And that makes me, yeah, a suitcase full of, did you find that? Toilet paper, yeah? And that makes me think of, I think we've improved, back then it would be like El Elefante or something like that, yeah? But that makes me think also of when I see people from Morocco, let's say, drive down to, like from Belgium or France, drive down to their homeland to visit their families. They say, I sometimes see them with loads of toilet paper too, so it makes me think of this little poem, yeah? So, and it makes me think of how connected we are. Even the toilet paper connects us, okay? So, I hope you enjoyed. I know it was a bit, I rushed a little bit. I'm sorry for the technological problems, but I hope that it gave you a little bit of an insight about the Basque diaspora and how maybe that can help us understand the diasporas in the Basque country, because there are diasporas and there are diasporas being emerged too. Okay? Thank you.